Hello everyone, it's me, Aaron, Professor Thorgy, your guide to all things geeky, and welcome to another episode of Comic Class, the show every single week on this channel where we just geek out about comic books. And you know, when I started this channel up, I was going to make it about everything from the world of geekery, whether it be comics or video games or movies, just a place to come and geek out about whatever you wanted. But over the past 2 months, this has turned into the, hey, what the fudge is going on with the Inhumans and the X-Men channel? Not that I'm complaining, because seriously, what the fudge is going on with the Inhumans and the X-Men? Now, I'm not going to go into total detail about what I am talking about in this video, because I already made another video, which you can click on the card that just popped up to take you to it, in which I went into full details about everything that is happening between these two factions of the Marvel Universe. But just to give you guys a quick little history lesson on it, this all started back when Marvel announced their plans for Phase 3, and they announced that the big movie coming towards the end of Phase 3 would be an Inhumans movie. And I remember when I heard that, I was like, alright, cool, I've always liked the Inhumans. You know, Black Bolt, Medusa, Karnak, the whole royal Inhuman family living out there on the blue side of the moon. It's a really cool concept. But then all of a sudden in the comic books, we saw Inhuman books starting to pop up, and I was like, okay, well that makes total sense. If you're going to have an Inhumans movie, of course you have to start putting out there Inhuman comics to get people prepared for them. But these Inhuman comics were a little bit different. They weren't quite like the Inhuman books that we had in the past. And then all of a sudden, the X-Men comics started to fade away. We started to lose one X-Men title after another, and suddenly you stopped seeing the X-Men on posters and in action figures and in merchandise. And it got people thinking, oh my god, are they actually trying to replace the X-Men, a property that Fox owns the movie rights to and gets half of the merchandising profits from, with the Inhumans? Now, as I said, I won't go into every single detail about this, but just speaking about what we've been seeing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, over on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in Season 2, they introduced the idea of Inhumans. We saw one of the main characters in that television series actually turn into an Inhuman, and we got introduced to the idea of Terrigen crystals, the Terrigen mist. We saw this whole society living off in the mountains of Inhumans, which is kind of something that you would see in the Inhuman comics. But the big problem that I've been having with the Inhumans this whole time is that the Inhumans we've been getting in the comics over the past couple of years, and what we've been seeing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe so far, is not the Inhumans. It's not the Inhumans that I grew up with. It's not the Inhumans that I loved. It's not what made the Inhumans special. It's what made the X-Men special. This idea that anybody out there could have that secret gene in their DNA, and all of a sudden it could activate, and suddenly you have these strange, bizarre powers, and you have to go off to a special place to train with other people like you so that you can learn about your powers. That is not what the Inhumans were, and it's not what made them special. And it's not just die-hard comic book fans with encyclopedic knowledge of these characters able to look at this and go, hey, I think they're turning them into mutants. It's even just casual fans. Just people who know these characters from the films that they've seen are able to look over at what they've done to the Inhumans on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and say, yeah, that's mutants. You've totally just created mutants. Hell, even the honest trailer guy was able to point that out.
Starring Definitely Not Mutants.
And I have talked about this several times now on this channel, but coming up at the end of this year and going into next year is a giant event in Marvel Comics called Inhumans vs. X-Men. And for a long time, it had many people concerned that this could be the end of the X-Men, that Marvel might be trying to actually get rid of the X-Men because they don't own the movie rights to them, and this way they could then replace them with the Inhumans in the comics. Now, we still don't know exactly what's going to happen at the end of this. However, they have started announcing some of the new books that are going to be coming out after Inhumans vs. X-Men wrap up, and so far it's been mutant titles. They've even used the word mutant to describe them when talking about these upcoming books. And we're going to get an Iceman book, a Jean Grey book, which we have never ever had, a new Cable series. They're talking about dividing all the X-Men books up into the X-Men Gold and the X-Men Blue line, which means you need enough X-Men titles to fill up 2 lines of books. So it actually looks like Marvel is going to correct itself. It looks like it's going to say, okay, I'm very sorry that we've been trying to replace the mutants with the Inhumans. We understand that you like the X-Men. The X-Men are going to be just fine. Now this all sounds great. However, I do have to point out, I have still been a tiny bit concerned because there is still this small possibility, this fear in the back of my head saying, yeah, but they might just be turning all the mutants into Inhumans. They might just be changing the X-Men into some class of Inhumans, so that way Marvel will now have all the merchandising rights to them. And I have been deeply concerned that that is what Marvel is planning, because then not only would they get all the merchandising rights for the X-Men back, because they would now no longer be classified under the X-Men category but under the Inhumans category, but also it means that every single new mutant that they create would now become an Inhuman character, which they could then use in their cinematic universe. This week, a brand new piece of information broke, which actually has me a bit more excited and puts me a little bit at ease. You see, as I said, this all started when Marvel announced that in Phase 3, they were going to have an Inhumans movie. However, the Inhumans haven't really been doing that well over in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. television series. Neither has the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. television series. Thank God for Robbie Reyes' Ghost Rider. That's the only thing keeping that show together right now. But yeah, people have not been excited about these Inhumans. They haven't been memorable. They haven't gotten people going out and reading the Inhumans book. I mean, I just made that joke about Robbie Reyes' Ghost Rider popping up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and he is pretty darn cool in that show. But just speaking as a guy who works in a comic book store, I can tell you from first-hand experience, I haven't seen squat for people coming into my store trying to pick up new Inhumans books. Over the course of the past year, I can almost remember every single customer that's coming in going, hey man, you got any Inhumans books? I want to hear what all this Inhuman stuff is about. No one really cares about them. However, just over the past month alone of Robbie Reyes being in the new Ghost Riders, in the new Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. No, screw that. It is the Ghost Rider series at this point. After a month of Robbie Reyes being in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. / Ghost Rider series, I've seen so many people come into my store going, yeah man, I want to check out Ghost Rider. No, not that old guy. I want to check out the new guy. Even when the Robbie Reyes book came out the first time around, I had more people coming in looking for the old Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider stuff than the new stuff. People are actually excited about this character. They want to read about him. So there is a very clear way of me being able to tell, yeah man, people just don't care about the Inhumans. And it looks like this week, Disney finally got the message. Because as I said, they announced that they're gonna make this Inhuman movie, and they have been pushing the Inhumans strong. So they've been kind of in a weird position. They clearly have been able to see, yeah, people don't care about the Inhumans. They're not getting excited about this. But at the same time, they have put so much effort into it. They announced they were gonna make this movie. They had to do something with them. Well, this week they announced the Inhuman movie is no longer happening. Instead, it is going to be a TV series. This has me very excited for multiple reasons, and slightly concerned for one reason, which I will get to at the end of all this. But let's start with the positives. And the first positive is that if Disney had an Inhumans movie coming out, they would need everyone to be super hyped for this, and they wouldn't care if they destroyed an entire existing franchise of characters in order to get you hyped for the Inhumans. However, when it comes to their television series, we got an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. comic when the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV series came out, and nothing much came from that. And when Peggy Carter got her own series, she got like a one-shot and a 5-part miniseries. So clearly when it comes to their ABC series, Disney is a lot less invested in what the comic book community is saying. Just to give you a few more examples of what I'm talking about, Marvel is going to make a Doctor Strange movie. Well, guess what's going to happen in the comics? They're going to get their best writer to reboot the Doctor Strange comic. They're going to give Doctor Strange a spin-off comic. They're going to give him a movie tie-in comic. They're going to give him a one-shot that re-explains his whole origin. They're going to put out a ton of his old trades, even if it's stuff that you never cared about in the first place. They're going to make sure they get Doctor Strange stuff out there, and they're going to put it in your face. When it comes to their Netflix shows, not quite as much of an emphasis on them, but still, Jessica Jones did very well. They're going to reboot the Jessica Jones comic. Luke Cage did very well. They gave him a mini-series, and they also rebooted the Power Man Iron Fist series. So, okay, if you're on Netflix, then they're going to put a little bit of a spotlight on you. But when it comes to those ABC series, as I said, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. came out, and they put out a series, and, you know, they talked about for the first couple of issues. That was about it. And Peggy Carter, as I said, man, that one had a diehard fan base. And even then, they were still like 5-issue miniseries. That's it. Don't even call it Peggy Carter. Just make sure that she's in there somewhere. The fans will know if they care. That was kind of a dick move, Marvel. Seriously, you weren't going to give Peggy Carter a series? So okay, that's the first thing that has me excited about this. Because if they were going to make them a movie, yep, X-Men, out of the way, get out of here. We cannot have two popular franchises that we're trying to make real similar to each other existing in our comics. You gotta go. However, if it's going to be a television series, hey man, there's enough space for the Inhumans and the X-Men to exist in this same universe. Why you gotta be bumping heads like that? Come on. Disney is really like that kid in the schoolyard who goes around saying, hey man, did you hear that this guy said this about you? And then after you guys start fighting, they come in and go, hey, we don't want anyone getting hurt here. We all knew that kid. That kid sucked. Now I know some people are going to say, hold on, there's a flaw in your logic. Because you're saying that Disney now is not going to place as much importance on the Inhumans because they're no longer a movie, they're a television series. However, this isn't going to be like any of the other Marvel television series, because instead of just putting it on TV, they're actually going to premiere the first 2 episodes of the Inhuman series in IMAX theaters weeks before it actually comes on TV. Which makes it seem like they are going to try and place a lot of importance and emphasis on this series and try and make the Inhumans a really big deal. This is true. It does seem like they are still trying to place some importance on it. However, I have a sneaking suspicion, and I'm just getting into pure conspiracy theory mode right here. If I had to take a guess, I'd say the reason why they are going to put the first 2 episodes of this series into IMAX theaters before it comes on TV is not because they want this to be some brave new experiment that changes television forever, which is what they're basically trying to hype it up as. And they're not going to come in here and go, oh, the Inhumans are indeed a big deal. They are the next big wave of entertainment, so we're trying to do this bold new thing with them. I think that the reason why they're doing this is twofold. One is because they said it's going to be a movie, and if they just totally back out of that 100% and make it a television series, it only makes them look bad. However, if they come in here and go, oh, well, you know, movies are cute and all, we're going to do a movie television series blending by having it come on IMAX, then all of a sudden it makes it sound like they're trying to do something cool. They're trying to do something experimental. They're not. That might be the argument that they're trying to present, but make no mistake about it. The Inhumans going from the movies over to television is the break glass in case no one gives a crap about the Inhumans option. But it's not just that. This whole idea of putting the first 2 episodes into IMAX theaters is there also to try and get people just talking about their television series again. Because like I said, their Netflix series do great, but Peggy Carter, as much of a diehard fan base as that show had, and as good as it was, it didn't really get good ratings. And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., listen, it's getting better now that Robbie Reyes is in there, but hoo boy, that show is constantly on the cancellation line. Disney needs to do something to get people talking about their television series again. Originally, they were just trying to get people talking about the Inhumans. Now they have to get them talking about just the entire idea of their shows being on ABC. So this is another option for them to get people talking about the Inhumans, because if average Joe Public, who hasn't been following all this crazy X-Men Inhuman controversy news, If they just suddenly see, hey, there's this thing Inhumans, it's going to be in IMAX for 2 days. What? It's now going to be a television series? That now gets them talking about it. This is not Disney coming in here and saying, trust me, the Inhumans are going to be so freaking great that it is going to rock this whole new idea of putting TV shows in IMAX theaters. No, what they're doing is, we pray to God that putting television series in IMAX theaters gets people excited for this. And I'll be totally honest with you, I hope it succeeds. I hope this crazy Hail Mary pass on their part actually works out for them, because yes, I've been incredibly frustrated with the treatment of the X-Men in the Marvel Comics universe. I think it has been disgusting that Marvel has been trying to downplay the X-Men in their comics and get rid of them in order to make the Inhumans this great, big, amazing thing, which no one has been asking for. And just speaking as an old school Inhumans fan, I hate that they've been turning the Inhumans into X-Men Light in order to replace the X-Men, when the Inhumans were already a great idea all on their own. They were already an amazing original concept that they have now just kind of betrayed. So yeah, I hope that this all works out for them, because look at what's happening after Inhumans vs. X-Men. Like I said, it's a whole bunch of new X-Men books. And look at what's happening in their Marvel Cinematic Universe. The Inhumans no longer have a movie. It's now being downplayed. To me, it really looks like they have come in here and said, we screwed up. This is us recognizing that. This is us recognizing the Inhumans are not going to work as X-Men replacements, and it's not something that we should try and force on people. We should make it come naturally by just kind of emphasizing what is cool about the Inhumans. So when I say I really hope that this idea of the Inhumans television series works, it's because I honestly hope that it's an Inhumans television series. I really hope that I tune in there and it's not just the weird Charles Xavier school of Inhumans that we've been getting over in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show. I really hope that's Black Bolt. I hope it's Medusa. I hope it's Karnak. I hope it's Lockjaw, for crying out loud. I hope that we actually get all those Inhumans in there, because they're freaking cool and they're freaking original. They are not ripoffs of the X-Men. They are their own original unique thing, and I would gladly watch a television series about them. And in all honesty, the Inhumans really should be a television series. They should not be a movie. Because you know why? The Inhumans is a series all about grand royalty that is constantly trying to scheme and stab each other in the back and trying to rule in peace, but with war constantly rising up against them. And you throw all these crazy sci-fi concepts and superpowers into all that. You know what the Inhumans are? I have been saying from day one that it drives me insane that Marvel has got Game of Thrones in space just sitting right there, a concept that sells itself, and yet they're trying to turn it into X-Men Light. They keep looking over at Fox going, no, but we want that thing there, rather than realizing the awesome thing that they have right there. That would be like if Charlie from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory opened up his Wonka bar and found the golden ticket inside, was super excited about it, but then looked at the kid over next to him who got the Wonka bar with almonds in and went, hey, do you want to trade? Do you want to trade? I'll just trade you this one right here, because I just want that right there. You have the freaking golden ticket, turn it into an amazing television series. However, you remember a couple, 10 minutes ago in which I said I have one small concern about this? Yeah, this is the concern. Because what I just described there, Black Bolt and Medusa and Maximus the Mad and Karnak and the entire insane idea of a civilization of space royalty living on this giant floating island or on the dark side of the moon, that's something that costs money. And I don't think that Disney is willing to spend that kind of money on an ABC series. And I can't even really blame them, because in order to do that right, you wouldn't need a lot of money. That might even be the reason why it is going to IMAX in the first place, not just to get people talking about it, but just because it's like, yeah, we're also going to be charging people $20 to come in to see these first 2 episodes, and we're going to kind of rely on that in order to fund the rest of the series. But alright, that's it for me today, guys. Again, if you want to know what the heck I was talking about in this episode, I'm going to put 2 videos up at the end of this one in which I go over all the X-Men and Inhuman controversies that have been coming up over the past year, so make sure that you click on those at the end of this video. Also, if you want to see other geeky videos from me having to do with comic books, video games, movies, we do videos like that every single week on this channel, so make sure that you hit that subscribe button. And if you want to support this channel, make sure that you share these videos and also give us a thumb up. It's the best way to help this channel grow. But for now, I'm just going to say thanks for watching, everyone. Come back next time. Bye.